Good morning. Welcome back to Ministry Monday. Hope you're having a great week. We're talking a bit about leadership right now. Thank you for the questions and comments that have come. I appreciate the shares as it begins to expand the audience, even beyond the constituency that I'm part of. Leadership is interesting because leading, as I've said a number of times, is not simply holding a position, but it is getting somewhere or getting an entity, a group of people, from one place to another. Too often, leadership is described by holding a title. I'm the, and imagine, if you will, an admiral in a navy who is responsible for an armada of a dozen ships. For whatever reason, this admiral decides to make a decision that he's simply going to save the energy that would be required to move his ships about. And so he keeps his fleet in one place. And for the short term that he is going to remain that admirable, even though the fleet's not going anywhere. Well, I think that often there are leaders who that's the perfect analogy for them. They hold a title, they're the admirable, but the fleet isn't moving. It hit me some years ago that I needed to ask myself the question, what are the people that I'm doing business with right now, the people that I'm leading, what are they doing different than they did a year ago? How are they being more effective with evangelism and disciple making? I have to confess it wasn't a real happy mental conversation because far too often I was the shepherd, but most of the flock wasn't moving, and it resulted in some changes. Number one, I slowed down a little bit because sometimes we think people can move faster than they can, and that simply is not correct. We need to assess where people are and whether they're taking hold of the things that we're putting into their mind and spirit. Shepherds can get too far ahead of the flock. The second thing is that most of my decision making from that point forward, including asking the question, if we do this thing, if I teach this, if we take this particular approach, what is the return on the investment? In essence, is it going to change anything? Is it going to move us forward and make us better? And then thirdly, application became more important to my process of teaching, preaching, and trying to influence others. How do we do something now with what has been taught to us? A flock of sheep, need a shepherd to bring them somewhere. My dad had a few cows when I was a youngster. Sheep differ from cows. Every evening the cattle would come home, and they knew where the barn was, and they knew where they could find something to eat. Sheep are very different. Jesus didn't like us to cattle. He likened us to sheep. Now that's his analogy, not mine. Here's what I take from that. In the complexity of life, people are wanting someone who will guide them, gently guide them. They're not looking for eloquent orators nor talented administrators. Both of those are very beneficial, but they're seeking authentic, committed, caring pastors. Someone who will sacrifice their comfort and ease to care for the flock of God. They want a pastor shepherd who will care for them, just like the good shepherd does. That sort of pastor shepherd is someone to whom people will entrust their souls. And even when they're not happy with the decisions that we make or the guidance that we give, they will trust us because they know that that leader has always had my best interest at heart. As you move forward in leading those that God has put in your care, leading the ministry that you're responsible for, review the questions. By the way, again, I thank you for the comments. I appreciate the questions that come my way. Ministry Monday. We'll see you next week. God bless.